Morena e te whānau from Aotearoa, commonly known as New Zealand, which means good morning. I've just come out of meditation and I've taken a lot of notes which I feel are important to share, and I want to acknowledge that there's some beautiful Indigenous wisdom and knowledge that is coming forth at the moment, and that this time is a time of preparation and ultimate trust. There is a beautiful soul, her name is JC, and she has been expressing what she sees in the spirit world or the dream time herself, and how it's also connected with the original people of the land of Australia. I admire her courage, and I see what she's saying is very true and very essential for those that are working together to be the change that we want to see in this world, who are aligning with time, and very much from my perceptions of trying to understand or coming to understand ancient Mayan wisdom and knowledge, is that time is of the essence and the dream is of the essence. And JC has been expressing what she sees in dream time, which basically is meditation and a strong connection with Creator and those who work strongly for creation, and this time of especially during this time of global crisis, and our coming out of that. Okay, so I've got quite a few notes and I hope they all fit together. It's a lot related to Indigenous wisdom keepers, how we relate with time, how we relate with the written word. Okay, so words in spelling, when they are written, the only way that we can interpret them is through the mind. So reading is of the mind. I've personally experienced a lot of chaos and confusion with trying to interpret what people are writing to me, and feeling a frustration in that when I write back to them, that it cannot be taken with the heart or with the essence of what it is delivered, because reading is of the mind. It's one of the first things that children is taught when they go to school. Schools are created out of colonial agendas to connect people with the word. Now, if we go back and we look a lot at some of the tribes of the earth, the native peoples of lands, there was no written language, and it only became to be written after colonization happened, and it's kind of captured and taken the essence of what is spoken and shared and used in connection. I want to start a little bit with something that happens in New Zealand. It's called the honge. Sorry, my pronunciation is not the best. The honge. So it's spelled Hongi. It's spelled. Anyway, this is a way that when people are greeted, and I'm going to speak from my personal experience of that, because I believe that's really the only authority that I have. I cannot speak on behalf of the native people of this land. So what I've noticed is that it is the sharing of breath as foreheads touch. So as foreheads touch and the breath is taken, for me what happens is I get a flash or an image of the soul of the forehead that I am touching. And this is a way that we get to know each other as we are, and there's no words that describe that. It's a connection. I've also taken part in sweat lodges, which is Native American culture, where you sit as if you're in the belly of the earth in the heat, and then the visions start to come as you sit in that very hot energy, which is a little bit like maybe the remembrance of being in the mother's womb, where there are songs are sung. It's very ceremonial, and there's a sharing that goes beyond the words that are spoken. As words are spoken, it's about sharing within that safe ceremony our hearts. I'm also remembering an encounter I had when I was in Australia in about 2008, and I was just in a supermarket, and a beautiful original man from Australia and I had a visual encounter in a grocery aisle, and I believe he saw me, and he saw me better than I could see myself at that time. And there was just the flash of the most beautiful smile. No words were spoken, but in that moment I saw him and he saw me, and I believe he probably saw me better than I could see myself, and I could just see the beauty of his soul. I just knew in that moment there was something incredibly special about that encounter. So these are things that go beyond words, and most especially they go beyond the written word. So the spoken word, which would happen when the wisdom is passed on from elders to the younger generations to keep sacred knowledge, has been very vital. But what has happened is that colonialism has captured the word, created the word in a written form, which is a word that can only be interpreted through the mind, and so much is lost in translation. So New Zealand is the name that was given by the colonizers of this country, not by the native people of this land. It's actually a corporation which has come through the evolution of written words that have been captured and harnessed as an overlay over our Mother Earth. Now, the first thing that happens when any country is colonized, there's a treaty, a declaration, a constitution, something is written, and it binds and it captures the essence of Mother Earth, and it takes humanity away from a direct connection with her through those legislation, through the written word, and through the enforcement of government. These things are held in place. They're also held in place by false overlay calendars. And to break out of it, we also need to break out of what binds us. So these things are really important. I just need to take a breath to refocus every now and then, because I'm very, very tired. So trust is of the essence as as we have reached a culmination of all time waves, all 9 eras of time waves that we reached in 2011, and our task has been to come into unity since that time. This is Mayan cosmology as I have been taught by Dr. Carl Kellerman. It is not astrology. We are the co-creators here. We use our alignment with time to co-create the most purest that we can for a new earth. Okay, now in the meditation this morning, my awareness came back to the serpent. The beautiful Indigenous people of Australia talk of the rainbow serpent. In my country, the serpent is the taniwha who occupies the waterways and is only seen in the dream time, in meditation. It's been hidden from plain sight or third dimensional seeing. I'm aware that Lake Taupo is a gateway, and that the taniwha moves. It's huge, it's massively huge, and I have seen it. It moves through Mother Earth's body. There are sacred places on this planet that have been devastated and poisoned. In this country, we have a very toxic substance called 1080 that the government keeps poisoning our waterways with. In Australia, many of the sacred sites have been desecrated. The sacred sites of the Maya were desecrated. All that has been sacred has been desecrated by colonial agendas. And this is what we have to find our way out of. We've learned the lessons of colonisation. We've learned the lessons of being separate from Mother Earth and Father Sky. And now it's time for all who are willing to return. So the way of the Indigenous cultures that I see, and the ones that I have shared in with great honour, are ceremonies, and they are ceremonies that work with the land, that work with the sky. They are intuitive. They are unlike rituals which have been done through word spells and legislation. So when we as humans align in meditation or dream time, we are like that rainbow bridge of the union between Mother Earth and Father Sky. It flows through our physical being, every energy center in our body. When it's clear and when it's activated and when it comes into alignment, means that heaven and earth can meet in our hearts. So this is portrayed through the sacred wisdom or knowledge of the people of India who talk about chakra and have been aware of the way that the energy spins in different points in our body. And also I'm aware that the earth has a chakra system, and there's been a lot of interference with that, just as there has been a lot of interference with our chakra systems, causing disease and imbalance. So our bodies, when we connect with them, are constantly telling us what is out of harmony, what is out of balance, and what is in need of healing. So this is a time when we need to prepare and we need to trust. It is about earth and sky connection through the physical vessel of our being. As inside, so outside, as above, so below. Words are going to continue to confound and confuse and possibly overlay soul truths. The solar truth of our solar plexus gut instincts. Uluru, the solar plexus chakra. So much gets lost in translation because the mind has to read words, and we cannot even do things without having to read conditions. It's conditions and terms of a written word in order to function in a 3D world. In nature and with the sacred languages of this earth, it's not conditional. There aren't terms and conditions. It's in harmony with nature, and this is what is rising up, and it's a very feminine rising of the earth that is happening now, that is coming through our feminine essence, both male and female, but I'm seeing it strongly coming through the female in different ways. We have a womb. we know the place of creation in our being as women. So we cannot be seen, and we cannot necessarily see others through written words unless there is absolute congruence in those words, and the reader has the ability to connect purely with the energy behind it. And as I say, behind, see where the overlay is. It is in the written words, and is interpreted through the existing filters of our personal experiences, and so often it's confused with others and not actually the writer who actually wrote those words in the first place. So much can get lost in translation, and people are not seen from their authenticity and the intention that are behind their words, and then confusion comes, and judgment can happen, and so much of the beauty and the sacredness of our being cannot be seen, and of the other. So I wear these funny glasses because I've always had a reading disability, and in some ways it shows me a lot. Many young children now have a similar reading disability, and it's really, to me, it's a problem within the written word, because I know that young children see energy, and I see energy, and I always have seen energy, and then it takes form and I see other things, and it's not pleasant, it's not nice, a lot of it. It's really difficult. And I really just want to get across that rainbow bridge myself and see the beauty, and see the fairies, and see the beautiful elementals, and see the things that are seen in that realm. I'm actually tired of seeing what's in the fourth dimension, and what's unraveling, and the monsters and the stuff that's behind what's held humanity, and especially children, captive. Now I get a little bit emotional because I'm healing some of this myself. I communicate what I communicate for the children and for the freedom of future generations. We need to move beyond it, and the wisdom keepers of Indigenous cultures hold the keys, and they're here showing us in a pureness and a groundedness, not in a overlay way of flashy graphics. Yeah, enough said. So the written word was imposed by colonizers to the very meek and humble ways of the natural people of the lands. Spells always preceded colonization. taking us all into our minds in order to be able to feel safe, to not be harassed, to not be killed by genocidal legislative laws. Governments and politics formed out of treaties, constitutions, declarations of the written word. The writ in the word. Division happened as a mental construct. Words or legislation have been enforced for compliance to ways that are not of the earth, our home. Horrors and atrocities have also risen out of words. It's ritualistic spell casting. And to break through, it has to be undone. And it is being undone by... It's being done within politics itself. But it's up to us to move beyond this, and we need to be prepared, and we need to be ready and trusting in the absolute will of the Creator within divine time to take ourselves and all that wish to come beyond the enslavement that humanity is trapped in now, and the scams and the plans of a few ruling class. It's time for presence. In my land, there's a term, and the land spoke it to me from the place I feel I belong to. And she said, kanohi ki te kanohi. It means face to face, but so much more than words can express. So if we can't be present with each other, we cannot actually feel this. So we're coming through this. The eighth wave was the internet age, which has actually helped to connect so much soul family together. And there's this pain that so many of us hold because we've met beautiful souls from all around the world, and we can only talk to them through Skype or the written word or whatever it is, but our hearts actually long to be in presence with one another. And we will be in due time. And the eighth wave is part of the waves of internet, but it's also the wave of a very feminine, beautiful energy of bringing back the feminine ways of Mother Earth, our great primordial mother essence, who seeks to connect with us all, and we can in nature. So I guess in conclusion, what I really want to encourage is the equality of every living soul, that we're all 100% valuable. We all have a purpose. Some very brave people have put their purpose out in the limelight, and it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage to do that. You have to be so in your heart and so protected by your heart energy to do that. Many people are coming together. It's a thing of collaboration. You know, like, to me, I see it as it's like having a woman's circle where the hearts are shared, and the knowledge that is passed between one another is sacred, and it stays within that circle of collaboration. But at some time it causes the energy to go out into the field to affect creation. So we need to remain compassionate, we need to remain humble, we need to just be the authenticity of ourselves, and to align with true time, to be aware of how things got in from the cause, because time is the first dimension and space is the second dimension, and the third dimension is matter, and then the fourth dimension, to me, the way that I see it, is a rainbow bridge of crossing from, and in that crossing, and in that dimension, when you have sight like I have, and sight like JC has, and sight like a lot of people I know, you have to see some really horrible things, but you also get to see how those things get resolved, how we pass through, how we cross that bridge, and how we will transcend through frequency of heart and divine time with divine will. So this is a message of hope as well. I hope it all just makes sense, but I really felt I had to speak it, scabs and all. I'm treating my face with herbs. And it's not about me, and it's not about JC, and it's not about the ancient wisdom keepers, and that's why they can come from the ultimate place of compassion and grace and humility after healing their hearts of great harm, because they've held this knowledge sacred, and this knowledge is sacred because it is the way that we are going to transcend. So have hope and have faith, have courage, trust, because trust is of the essence in working with the first dimension of time, up through space, through matter, across the rainbow bridge into the higher heavens and beyond and beyond and beyond into infinity. So much love to you all. Kialus shurasalia siempre ushalavasa kayan indiara di siala yotutaya mekia. Kia shai salotura vasanda dander di vedete oladia. Kiandar di sha si sundar dai.